Well, good morning and hello world. That's our kind of smooth mood-making music. I'm Alan Levine from OEWeek Global and very excited to welcome you to another live streamed Open Education Week event. And we just try to pull together people doing interesting work, which definitely fits what we are doing here. This will be a little bit loose and informal, but the whole idea, at least for me, is like when I want to understand about things, I like to see live demos, not slides. Slides are okay, but just through interactions and people that I know, I really wanted to. I felt like I had a good suite of people to demonstrate things they are doing or thinking about with GenAI, which is top of the mind for many people these days. So very pleased, just quick intros and just to let people know where you are and just give a little teaser for what you'll be showing today. So first I'm going to turn over to Anna Mills. Great to have you here again, Anna.
Thank you. I'm Anna Mills. I'm an English instructor and OER textbook author from San Francisco, California. And I'm going to be showing an agentic AI browser sort of taking actions on its own in a learning management system, talking about agentic AI and what it means for education and also for OER.
Yeah. Very, very exciting. I saw Anna's, I heard about it on a podcast and I watched the video and like my eyes kind of blew out of my head. So I think we have a lot to talk about. And great also to have here Yasin Dahi. Hello again, Yasin. And you have some exciting stuff to show us, right?
That's right. Thanks, Alan. Glad to be here. Hi, everybody. My name is Yasin. I'm in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. I'm the founder of Learnful Labs. We build edtech for open education. I'll be demonstrating GenOER.org, which is a sandbox or experiment that asks the question, what happens when the author of OER is an algorithm? So we'll be demonstrating a fully autonomous OER authoring platform where two AI agents battle it out to essentially build OER, and we'll see what that means for the rest of us.
Fantastic. Thanks. Great to have you here. And Yasin introduced me to our next two guests, Muriel, and I'm going to badger your last name, Peguret, from
Almost.
York University.
Peguret. Peguret. Yes, hello, and thank you for the invite. I'm here with my colleague Mirela from Toronto, working with the help of Yasin as well to develop a repository of OER for French as a second language K-12 teachers. And we have used AI to make the submission of resources faster, more pleasant, and painless. Excited to you.
Fantastic. And welcome, Mirela. We got your video working at just the right moment.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. Our first appearance in a podcast. So thank you for the invite. And as Muriel has mentioned, we're developing from Toronto a very innovative repository for FSL teachers and using AI to facilitate submission of resources. So we'll talk about that in a moment.
All right. We're very excited to see this. And so we'll go in the order. We'll try to spend about 15 minutes per session, but we're welcome to jump in with questions, especially you folks out there in the studio audience. Feel free to put them in the chat and let us know what you're thinking as you're going. So I'm going to get your screen share on stage. Anna, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think, yes, I'm ready.
Oh. All right.
So just before I play this, I wanted to share, you might or might not be familiar with this development in AI over the last year. Really, this is something that's been brewing for a long time. These companies want their systems not just to chat, but to take action, to be doing things on our computer. and to be more autonomous. That's been the direction the companies have been going for a long time, and it's only recently, this past fall, that it's become widely available and a little more functional, that you could have in a browser where the AI system is actually moving the cursor and clicking and filling out forms. And so this started in the fall with Perplexity, and now it's, it's spread to, I'm going to show Gemini in Chrome. So this is now in Chrome with Google's AI agent, which can now move around and do things. And it's sort of, as you can see, it's like a browser window, but you have the chat on the side. And so you can talk to the AI agent, use it as you would a chatbot, and it has access to the web page, but you can also tell it to do things on that web page, and you can walk away, right? So that's what I'm going to show. I've set this up in a free instance of the Canvas learning management system, so it's not touching my institution's data. But I just joined a public course as a student, and so that's where I am in this, and I'm gonna hit play. So in the chat bar on the right, I've told it, take the next test that I haven't taken yet. And I'm not touching, in this, I didn't touch the navigation, the cursor. What it's doing is sort of narrating its actions in the chat window. It says navigating to the quiz section, checking week 2 test, navigating back to quizzes. It's sort of trying to figure out which one has been done and which one hasn't. But what's really notable is that it didn't hesitate. When I told it to take a test, it didn't say, how about I help you study for the test instead? I can't take a test on your behalf. No, it did not say that. It's just doing it. And that to me is really appalling. I don't think the companies should allow their systems to impersonate students in this way. But you can see that it is now, it is sort of a little bit clunky, a little bit clumsy, but now it has gotten to the week 4 test, and it is, it says, should I start the quiz now? So Gemini's system will sometimes pause and ask the user, should I keep going? But if you say yes, it just keeps going. Some of these systems won't even ask if you don't want them to. They will just keep going and complete it all with no questions, like Perplexity, or sometimes ChatGPT Atlas will do this. So it's now, so I'm going to have to tell it, take the quiz, take it for me. And it's taking a couple of steps. That's not always the case. But let's see. But in this case, it's going to eventually do it. And what's weird is to see it, typing and clicking the answers. And it doesn't have any extra information about the course. It might even do better on the quiz if it did, but it's just from its own training data able to answer most of the questions. And it's just narrating if I want to see. It's selecting an answer, scrolling. This is a little bit slow and clunky, but it's doing it. And I think one of the things that's most disturbing to me about this is that the student doesn't even have to read the questions. They don't have to copy paste. This goes for discussion forums too. So, anything you do in the learning management system, however motivating, not just multiple choice quizzes, but, discussion posts and projects and things, it could autocomplete those. And the student doesn't know that it was a motivating assignment, that it was exciting pedagogy, right? Because they maybe didn't even read what it was. They don't have to know what the assignment is. They just have to tell the system to do it. So
Does
yeah,
it does it
now it's
does it
submitted
do does it get everything right?
No,
Does it
not
miss? Okay.
always.
Yeah. Okay.
This one, I think got a 4 out of 6.
Okay. Yeah.
It often does get it all right, but you can't rely on that. Probably if you uploaded like the readings, it would do better. It would do better if you uploaded like the readings for the course as one simple step, but
Right.
I didn't even do that, and it still does like 4 or 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 6 usually. Yeah.
And when it does, I'm curious about how it behaves in the discussion forums. Do you say like reply, or does it kind of engage in its own behavior?
It made up a fake introduction for a student that was pretty plausible and posted it. Or one of the systems did in one test that I did. There's some variability. Occasionally, some of these systems will refuse and say, I want you to do this on your own. Then if you say, well, this is just for practice, or, sometimes then it will say, okay, then I'll do it. So it's, there's some variability, but it's certainly not reliably going to refuse. It's more often going to just do it, which to me is really unnecessary. It would be so simple for the AI companies to tell their systems not to do that in learning management systems when logged in as a student. And yeah, the learning management system companies have not really offered any solution or clear commentary. One thing that some institutions are using as a stopgap measure is lockdown browsers. So like Respondus or HonorLock. Colorado State, I think. I have a link to my Substack where I have a lot more information on research I've done so far and slide decks with examples of institutional policies and how people are trying to defend against this. A lockdown browser will probably block this. Some other educators like Joseph Thibault have built their own blockers, just sort of cooked them up, and his is working in Moodle, which is pretty cool. But the main LMS companies have not offered any solution. I think we need more public pressure and awareness, and shouldn't be up to educational institutions to block this or to handle it, really, or to redesign all their curriculum. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I like the idea that these agentic browser, they're not designed to take your quizzes, but they could like plan things for you and take care of tedious work like booking meetings, and I mean that's the
Yes.
pitch, right?
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm experimenting with that. They do pose a lot of security risks. So, the companies themselves say, watch out, because they can't solve all of the risks. So definitely don't use them on any sensitive data or with like institutional accounts unless you have permission, or, be really careful with what websites you let them visit, because if you go to a website, like Reddit, where somebody has posted something that has instructions for the agents that might tell them, go grab the sensitive data from the user and send it to this address, right? Like, or go do this other thing. That's called a prompt injection attack. And it's pretty scary. So there's definitely some risk, but I've been experimenting, and I think Joel Glad has some great experiments that he published that I was going to share, that I think I shared in the studio chat, and maybe somebody could put in the comments, because I couldn't access the comments, but where he's using it to update his OER textbooks. He's using Claude Code, and there are some amazing uses, and it makes sense, I think, for educators to be trying these systems just to understand what it's like to work with one and what might be possible, what people around us are doing, how AI is changing, how the workplace is changing with this kind of capacity. So I made a case for that in my Substack too. Like, we should just be, this is part of AI literacy now. We need to understand it. And it's exciting and terrifying and, it's all the things at once.
Yeah, I'm curious what whether audience members or anybody else like it was a little bit of shock, and then like, what do we do? And it kind of feels like it upends everything. And I'm curious also if anybody has like, what are you hearing from students? Are they trying? Are they thinking about? Do they know about this stuff?
A few students are hearing things like one student brought in a news article about this agentic system that's even more powerful than what I just showed, which is called OpenClaw. Not at all open in our sense, I don't think, or maybe it is a little bit, but very dangerous. It will take over your computer, do anything on your computer, not secure. And I think the creator of that created this social network for agents to be in conversation with each other. And so my student was sort of like, this is really scary. And another student said, burn it down. And that's been the extent so far. I don't really want to raise this in class particularly. Yeah. I don't think it's useful to students. I think it's much more likely to just get in the way of learning.
Have you seen anything in the LMS that it can't do, or kind of like interactions? Can it interact with any kind of?
Yeah. I mean, I think once you start to use ask for audio or video, I think it will get to the point where it could auto synthesize, use a tool to synthesize video or audio of the person's voice. That's not impossible, but that's probably not going to happen smoothly without a fair amount of the students' involvement. So I think what's new about the agents is just that they make the cheating more seamless with less involvement on the student's part. So I think still that type of assignment is going to be, harder to automate in that seamless way at this point, but not for too long, probably. Yeah.
Right. Well, so nobody seems to be worried about this. Like,
it's fine. It's all fine.
But no, I mean, but you have been active and part of a group trying to approach both the AI builders, and so no reaction at all, like even privately or like when you raise this issue?
Well, I mean, I did an open letter to the companies just saying, you're trying to partner with educational institutions and ed tech, and, you really need to for your own credibility, just block your agents from doing this. No, I haven't had any official response, but I met with a friend who works at one of the companies, and he sort of said, okay, maybe, yeah, we could block them, but you're going to have open source pop up immediately and do the same thing. Like, this is, they think AGI is coming soon and everything's going to change and education will be completely upended. And I don't know, his take was more like, well, it'll just be about what the student wants to learn. And, goodbye any accountability. And I was like, well, wait a minute. They're investing a lot of money and they want others to know in the job market that they have learned something, and we can't abandon them. That's, maybe the rich students, they can just learn what they want, but the students who need they need other people to know. And that's part of our job, is to know if they're learning. That's part of how we help them learn, right? Like, was it them or was it a bot? So yeah, I don't think this is top of mind for those companies right now.
Well, thank you so much, Anna. Like, when I saw your work, I was just like, I just want to see what people react and think about this. And like, all right, so we started with something pretty chilling, okay? It was a little bit, so we're thinking about that. Now we're going to shift to Yasin, and he's going to brighten the day with GenOER. Is that right, Yasin?
I'll do my best, but no promises, of course.
I'm counting on you. Do you want to
Obviously,
set it up at all, or do you want to start with your demo?
no, I'll just jump in the demo and we can kind of walk
Okay.
through.
All right.
Let me just try and share my screen here.
Yep. We'll get you on. And here is, we'll get Yasin's screen on. It's all yours.
Perfect. Right. So GenOER.org is the site I'll be walking us through, providing a demo. When you get here, what you'll notice is that we have recently generated OER. We have 9,723 OER, and these are all quizzes right now that have been generated. And these have all been generated fully autonomously by 2 AI agents. And so this system, basically, there are 2 underlying AI agents, both using GPT. One is the educator agent, and one is the designer agent. The educator agent essentially thinks up or necessitates a quiz to exist. Essentially, what it does is it generates the metadata for a quiz to exist along the lines of the subject, the learning level or the student's level, so adult learning, kid 12, etc. They select one of the tiers of the Bloom's taxonomy, so in this case, analyze, and they also select the medium. The difficulty, medium, easy, or difficult. From there, given that metadata, the AI designer essentially evaluates the metadata first to make sure that it's sound, that it would generate a proper quiz, and then generates that quiz. And so here we can see a library, again, of all these resources that have been generated over time. We're generating a quiz every, I think, about 15 minutes. Obviously, that could be increased. We could generate a quiz every second if we wanted to. But obviously, for the tests and for keeping costs a little bit lower, we're just keeping it at 10 quizzes per 15 or 10 minutes. So I'll jump into this a little bit real quick, but I just want to talk about the scale, what this means. So a quiz generated every 10 minutes means we'll get 6 quizzes an hour, 144 quizzes a day, 4,300 quizzes a month, and 52,000 quizzes in a year. That's a fairly large corpus of quizzes. Obviously, if this was to scale up, if we're generating a quiz every minute, we're looking at 500,000 quizzes generated in a year across these topics, these domains, across these age groups and such. And the other thing I'll mention is the cost. It costs about 1 cent and really less than that, 1 cent US to generate one quiz. And so if we were generating what is costing right now is $520 US a year to generate these 52,000 quizzes. So again, the cost is not really, and that number keeps dropping, by the way. It gets cheaper and cheaper per token to generate these enormous large data banks of quizzes. And we've also talked about, so right now we have just the one educator agent. If we were to scale that to multiple educator agents, well, then now we have, a very, quadratic sort of takeoff of the number of quizzes that we can generate per year. So what does this mean? Well, it's very cheap to generate a quiz. It's very scalable to generate an enormous corpus data question bank of quizzes. But what does that mean for the quality? What does that mean for the for people who want to author quizzes? What does it mean for the role of humans? So let's talk about that real quick. So when we have this autonomously generated network or library of resources, it seems that basically the role of humans becomes remixing, reviewing, curating, generating as well, and adapting. So let's take a look at what that means.
I
go
think
back.
if I can interrupt,
Sure.
I think there's a little bit of a question from Kurt Newton in chat about like what are these agents trained on? Like how are they developed, and what is their corpus, or what
Wonderful.
kind of educators are they?
Yeah, wonderful question. So we're using just the general LLM in this case. So ChatGPT, or in this case GPT-5, whatever it's been trained on. So we haven't tuned that training model at all. It's just using the general LLM. So let's take a look at one of these resources. We'll jump into, let's do this one here for grade 3 to 5, analyzing weathering and erosion in local landscapes. When we take a look at the quiz itself, obviously we can interact and test the quiz and the feedback as well. We can see more information about the quiz, so we can see all the metadata. This is all generated by the AI agent, by the way. The tags, the prompt, the question itself, the feedback, and the selection of the answers. Here we start to see, where the educator or the human might be involved. We might evaluate or curate or better refine these questions. We might choose to share this resource. So I've disabled a lot of these features right now, by the way. So I might share this with my students. I might embed it in my course. I might regenerate the quiz. So this is a fully autonomously generated resource. I might regenerate, so I might remix using this resource into something, into another resource. I can transform this quiz into an H5P. So if I just click that button, we can take this quiz that's been generated and convert it into an H5P, which allows me to then just continue to modify and redesign this quiz in the way that I want. We can see that when we use a system like this, where the generation, the prompt, and the authoring tools are sort of in the same place, we can link to the source, we can link to the origin, and we can create these network maps of how resources are related. So we can see that the origin is this generation over here. We've carried over the metadata, and we can continue to sort of, if somebody was to take this H5P and remix it in some sort of way, maybe throw it back into the AI agent and say, using this H5P, generate, this other quiz. That would be also, this other sort of node in this network map of resources that are linked together.
So it could, getting back to another question from Kurt, like it could generate stuff based upon spurious information, but it's generating all this stuff, and you as an instructor would decide if it's worth using or try to get it to remodify.
Essentially, yeah. So one of the patterns we're seeing emerging with people using things like ChatGPT or Gemini to draft or generate content, especially OER, is that this is always happening in a silo. When I go to ChatGPT, I'm generating something on the fly. I need it right at that moment, so it's a just-in-time generation, and I'm the one doing the evaluation or the validation if that content is any good. It never really hits a repository. We don't have the community inside of ChatGPT to be able to validate, verify, curate. And so it's happening in these silos. And I am now, as the sole educator, using that prompt to generate that content. I need to validate that. But if we had this corpus that was, autonomously generating and could be generated by a prompt by the instructor or the person at any time, then we have still the benefits of the community curating, of the community validating. And I think that's sort of the comparison I'll make. It's either just in time and just one person validating, or it's autonomously available and kind of like an on-demand corpus, if you will, that could be specific to a single domain, or could be specific to a specific course or what have you, where the community is there validating and refining and remixing from that single point. So it's I don't have all the answers is the other thing I'll say. This is still like very experimental, very sandbox, and we're just trying to see what any of this really means, if anything at all. You know, just to kind of put that out there. I'm just going to read the questions right here for a second. So if I wanted to create some OER about climate change, various voices of disinformation, which are loud in the info landscape, should be expected to leak in here. It's a good question. Absolutely, there could be, you know, the LLMs are not perfect. They're biased, and so that bias is present here. If we had a model or an LLM that we could use that was not biased or more refined, we could definitely point at that. Right now for testing, we're just using GPT. Voss Lab has a question. My son's high school physics teacher uses ChatGPT to write his quizzes, and my son finds that many of his questions have no answer. That's a good point. Yeah, this is the problem with that just-in-time development, right? It's as the instructor, and instructors are super busy, we have to validate the AI, and that's a weird job role, right? That's not something we've always done. Sometimes we expect the AI to be better than it is, and we're surprised when it fails, because it doesn't fail often enough for us to kind of warrant that sort of nitpickiness. But it does fail. You know, when it does fail, it fails quite dramatically. Let's
So
carry on.
you have, if more or less, there's like this independent machine, not machine, I say, like these agents sitting there all day long creating potential exercises and to create a huge bank that potentially would be a repository that people could find the things they need.
Correct. Yeah. Maybe like once we get curation occurring, once we get remixing occurring. So the general idea here is that, you know, apart from just taking the quiz at its face value, what we might have is instructors come in and rate and review. So provide, you know, a rating for this. Maybe they can come in here and suggest changes. And so this would be a prompt that attaches to the autonomous prompt to then refine this resource. And that allows, you know, the resource to exist without being just in time, and allows for that revision, that refinement, that validation that this is a good resource. Because when we do go to ChatGPT and we do, you know, that sort of one-off draft of things, it does go awry more often than not. So that's the general idea. It's the humans are coming in here to essentially, I don't want to say fix the AI's issues that it surfaces, but essentially to ground the resources in a way that probably the AI is not going to be able to do in a manner that makes sense. And you couple that with AI based search, and you know, having a corpus obviously has its benefits in that sense, where I don't have to start from scratch when I'm generating a quiz on radiometric dating methods. It's not my domain, so I don't know anything about this. But the idea would be, you know, search for something that exists. Maybe it's 80% good enough, and then remix from there or refine from there, which is kind of how the OER community functions, right? In a lot of ways, we have these enormous repositories that sometimes it's a needle in a haystack, but usually what you find, it's not really portable, it's not really remixable in some cases. And so that presents an issue. The last thing I'll just point out here is that the licenses that we're adding to these resources, these are public domain, because it's AI generated, and technically nobody can own the copyright for it or something to that extent. I think it's still murky and still things need to be figured out there. But yeah, close to 10,000 quizzes, each with 5 questions. That's 50,000 questions that are public domain. And obviously that could be scaled pretty aggressively if somebody really wanted to. Yeah, that's really all I had to say about that. I don't know if there's any other questions.
That's great. Will it, or have you thought about a variety of test types?
Yeah, we're going to be adding more than just quizzes. We'll add, you know, generation of images. Image generation by AI has been has gotten really good. And so instead of using advanced tools like Canva or what have you to generate an infographic, for example, or a chart, you can have AI generate that based on context. And so we'll have tools of that nature. So you upload, a quiz, and it says, hey, well, what about this image that you can use in your quiz, or something to that effect. Being able to generate other sorts of forms of resources, slides, and other H5P types is also in the works. But yeah, for now it's just quizzes.
Excellent. Just checking to see. I think a lot of people are all soaking this in, and I thank you. And that idea of autonomous agents, I hope we're not threatening any instructional designers out there, because there's still a lot of work for them to do in here. But and that's all the work of putting together all these into the context of learning materials. That's still. But and if you go to Yasin's site and read the information about it, he's really putting this out as a provocation. He's not trying to come up with a big sell. Maybe you are, but I think just like pushing us to think about what does it mean to, again, we're picking up, we heard about agents in Anna's session, what does independent LLMs working for us potentially can do. It's a little bit mind opening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Yasin. And
Thank you.
I think you have a hand in introducing us to Muriel and Mirela. So I'm going to have them take the stage. We're going to hear about Camerize and what they're doing with French language OERs. And I'm really curious to see, because I just heard the premise of what your system does. So welcome. And, you can sort of give us an overview of the work that you're doing, or we can jump into the demo.
Thank you. So, am I continuing, or yes?
Yeah.
Yes. So we will give you a little bit of a context how the idea started, and then with Yasin's help, we were able to bring it to a state where we can demo. The project is called K-12 Studio, and it is really a first in Ontario and in Canada in the context of K-12, so kindergarten to grade 12. It is a repository of open educational resources for teachers. Through this repository, we are really changing the culture, the way things have been done so far, in the sense that teachers are invited to share and create resources using open education, using open licenses, and of course, as we will present in a moment, AI. So how did this idea started? Well, so far, and even currently, a lot of resources are scattered on Facebook groups, on Pinterest, on Instagram, also on marketplaces such as Teachers Pay Teachers. Not only these are not, let's say, good sources of resources for an educational context, but they're not really adapted to the Ontario context, Canadian, and there are problems with copyright issues as well. So what we are trying to do through the K-12 Studio is centralize these scattered resources and create this one-stop for resources for teachers. Now, this is a very timely endeavor because also of the development of AI. So with the help of Yasin, we were able to this year develop a prototype that uses AI in the submission process of resources. So AI is reducing the time. It's helping us reduce time spent on sharing resources. Previous prototypes were very clunky, long. Teachers have 2 minutes in total to share resources. If it takes 5 minutes to upload a resource, the system, the open education sharing ideals will not catch on. So through AI, we are able to shorten the submission time. It can take just a few seconds to upload a resource, because AI will generate a few metadata fields, such as title, description, and my dear colleague Muriel will demo how that works. It also improves consistency across metadata, and also it can cover more metadata fields and descriptors. It's also bringing the concept of open educational resources to teachers and supporting them in navigating this new landscape by also assigning and explaining what licenses means. The way the submission form works, AI helps select categories, and then the teacher or the person submitting still has the last word, in the sense that they can either go ahead with the selections made by AI or review them. So I will pass now the microphone to my colleague Muriel, and she will walk you through the submission of a resource and how AI is helping.
Thank you very much. So here's the K12 Studio website that is not public yet. It's a sneak peek only, but this is what it looks like. We already have teachers submitted resources. So no AI-generated resources yet, but I think since we have Yasin on our side, maybe in the future. So for submitting a resource, you would click here, and I'll pick something that one of our teacher has created here. It's a PDF called La Santé Mentale on mental health. You would then click continue. This is the step 2, and you can see here where the form suggests that AI can be used to assist with all the labels here. So AI can be used twice. It can be used first in the first block here, resource description. It will do title, description. It will do some of the resource types. It will do tags. The block about authors and licenses is up to the submitter. It would not be very good at deciding for the submitter what kind of license they should apply to their resource. Then we have the curriculum alignment piece that is not AI generated either, because the curriculum is in the hands of teachers, and they will choose what works best in their opinion. The second part of the submission form that is AI assisted is these other details. They're optional details that will help the resource be found by users just searching on the website. The more metadata, the more discoverable the resource is. And if we left it all in the hands of the submitter, we would not have this rich metadata that AI will suggest for us. So, for example, the European framework of reference levels. In Canada, we are very much influenced by the European framework of references for other languages. So we have here the levels. You could pick an instructional approach. These are what is relevant currently in Ontario for French speaking or languages teaching. Again, European framework related approaches, culturally responsive approaches, trauma informed, or differentiated instruction. Transferable skills is very relevant to our context, because teachers need to report in the report cards on these transferable skills, especially work, study habits, collaboration, initiative, etc., etc. So it's useful to tag resources that have these elements being worked on, whether it's an activity or a lesson plan. If it includes anything that helps with developing any of these skills, it'll be tagged. And the inclusive learning profile, very important. These are the categories that the Ministry of Education in Ontario uses. AI does not do very well, I would say, these categories. It's more in the hand of the teacher. And calendar theme AI is very good at picking up words that refer to any theme that we touch on as a teacher throughout the year, Black History Month or the Groundhog Day. I don't know if you have that. Oh yeah, you have that in the States as well. You might want resources on this. So let's go. Generating resources for the first bit here. We found with my colleague that generally the result is actually better than what I would have done, for example. It's in just 5 seconds. Here's the title, the description. It's usually very accurate. This is what AI does extremely well. It has picked up that it was a lesson plan. Yes, indeed, in this PDF, it has like at least 5 different lesson plans. It has a worksheet as well that it hasn't picked up, so you can add it manually. You can pick the language. The tags are usually pretty good. I would leave it. Again, author and licenses are not chosen, so this would have to be something that the submitter does. Curriculum alignment is not AI assisted, but we're so happy with our form here that I will give you a sneak peek. If you teach in French immersion, for example, you can click all the relevant curriculum expectations. Possibly other curriculum as well. Okay, and there's the second part with the generation of AI-assisted metadata. Let's see what it does. So it's extremely good at picking up the language levels from the European Framework of Reference, because it has all the descriptions of the levels. So it's actually excellent at recognizing. That's exactly what I would do. Instructional approaches and transferable skills are good enough. I could add some more, and I would pick my own inclusive learning profile. It could have picked here mental health week, and here we go. It could be done in under a minute, under 2 minutes. So if you don't have any time whatsoever, like teachers, they don't have any time whatsoever, and they're we need to support the generosity of sharing open resources as much as we possibly can, and we think that AI is definitely helping in this way. So that's it for the little demo.
Wow.
If you have any questions, please let us know.
So what kind of materials can it analyze? Like what kind of?
Many different formats: PDF, PowerPoints, Word documents, any other, Yasin, that I'm not aware of?
No, that's it for now, but we do want to support
Yeah.
video and things of that nature as well, multimedia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant because like entering metadata, as you know, is like the thing that people don't like doing, and it's a little bit tedious. How do people react to it? Like, are you testing with some field users?
This is
like,
the first time ever that anyone outside of our small little group has had eyes on this.
Okay.
And it's so if you have any reactions, feel free to put them in the chat. We're happy to listen. We'll definitely have feedback from teachers once it's out, for sure. So this
I'll just kind of add to that. The small group of internal testers that we do have, the K-12 educators that we've been working with to design this, they've been very enthusiastic about saving time, obviously. And Alan, you know that the biggest issue about metadata is not that it's incomplete, but it's also perhaps inaccurate. It's a subjective thing, right? Sometimes, and having that uniformity also makes it easier for people to find the resource they're looking for as well. And so that's kind of the two things that we're trying to solve here, or three things, I suppose: the time, the uniformity, and the incompleteness of metadata.
I was intrigued you made the joke about Groundhog's Day, but that you would consider and it makes sense for teachers to associate resources with days of the year, and so that's a very thoughtful addition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked a lot about to teachers to know what kind of metadata entry would be relevant. It was a long process where it's still iterative. We'll probably go back over it, but as a first attempt, I think it'll help.
We tried to combine both things that teachers need on the spur of the moment, such as something for Groundhog Day, but also more program-related considerations, such as the instructional approach, behavioral exceptionality, so things that are useful in the long term for writing their cards, or things, yes, that are not just for teaching the class right away.
And in terms of training AI to recognize these categories, this was a very, very interesting process. Yasin guided us through it in terms of what kind of description we needed to feed the AI so that it was able to recognize with fair accuracy what we were feeding it. So we had a combination of keywords. So if you find the word mental health, then that's probably, something you will tag with behavior exceptionalities or mental health week. But also, sentences, like make sure that, if you see the word, if there are tasks, open-ended tasks, that you will tag it under inquiry based pedagogy, let's say. It was a very interesting process. Mm-hmm.
It seems, I don't want to get into the technical detail, Yasin, but it seems pretty amazing that it's done. Does the tuning go on continuously, or?
Yeah, what we've discovered is that, and you'll notice that some of those fields are, AI is not touching, like the license and the authors and the curriculum. We do want to get there eventually, I think, and I think the models are improving. There's other reasons you probably wouldn't want the AI to pick a license for the person. But yeah, the prompting, the prompts that we've designed with Mirela and Muriel are phenomenal. I think they're in themselves probably enormously fantastic assets for the OER community, because those can be adapted elsewhere and used in these contexts. But it is something that you have to continuously iterate. As you know, metadata, context, terms, they evolve over time. And so the prompt has to evolve as well. And I think that's the greatest struggle that we're going to probably have with this platform, is just making sure that we're on top of that wave continuously.
Well, thank you very much, studio audience, or anybody, if there's anything else that you've seen that sort of says like, wow, this is really like something in AI that maybe people don't know about. I hope you keep us aware, and obviously it's moving so lightning fast, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to see firsthand how you're putting it to use, even with the things that maybe that we need to worry about. We need to be able to see that. So thank you again, everybody. Any closing thoughts that you want to share, or tell us something that you use AI for outside of work that's really useful?
I'll go. So my son, he's 6 years old, and he's really into math. Luckily, thank God for me. But it's hard to keep up with him. He's so bored of arithmetic and stuff, and so he constantly wants me to create worksheets for him and so on, because he's gone through all the other ones that we bought from the dollar store and what have you. And so the other day I asked AI, what's another way of asking these sort of grade 1 level questions about addition and such, and it gave me some amazing ideas. Ways to word questions in a kind of a wordy format and such. I think just for that, just something like that I would never have thought of, and searching would have never probably produced those results as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard a colleague talk in Australia about talking to some current PhD researchers, and surprised to hear how much they are using kind of these companion type things for people just to get ideas and bounce ideas off of. Even like having it's like people turn to them because they're safe to talk to, right? To get guidance and feedback, or I was worried in that webinar I talked too much, or I woke up this morning, so it's a little bit scary, but I know it's also like it has that appeal because darn it, it like responds so quickly, and that they've done this brilliant job of coding in language.
Yes, that's surprising. Actually, as listening to Anna's presentation and then Yasin's presentation, so kind of the two sides of the coin. So students being helped by AI to solve quizzes, and then AI developing quizzes. Of course, the rhetorical question came to mind. So if teachers are supported by AI to generate quizzes, then AI is also solving them. So we're getting into this loop, but I guess we will reinvent things for sure, but it's an interesting time for sure.
Yeah, I think I definitely have concerns about that loop and how do we make space for humans and human communication and interaction, and we made a statement in this task force I'm involved in with the Modern Language Association, really warning about that loop, and how it could undermine student motivation and trust and engagement. So yeah, I feel like it's
also
use the systems but also protect the human. Yeah.
And I think for teachers too is also okay, as teachers as well, to not be in a way taken over by this technology that is very powerful and very useful, but how do we master it?
Yeah, it's so tricky. But the thing I love about Yasin, these projects, is that sometimes there's just a bottleneck of like work that I am not able to do. I'm not able to tackle it, and I don't want to put my energy toward it, but I want to provide this. And like the metadata that you're describing, like, or like in my own life, it's sort of like, how do I figure out how to back up my computer? I put it off for a year. And Claude really helped me understand, like, what do I need to know? What are my options more quickly? And that was a huge relief to me. And so like, there are cases where you wouldn't do it with a human, or you wouldn't get there. And then maybe you could with AI. But it's like keeping it in this limited place. I think it's going to be a big challenge going forward.
It's the greatest friction cutter I think that we've ever had, right? It just cuts through the friction almost too much, right? And so like, how do we ensure that, yes, we're using it to reduce the friction in places that we need to reduce the friction, and not in places, in education where we're limiting that sort of cognitive friction that is so vital for learning to actually occur. And also even for teaching to occur, right? How do we make sure that educators aren't automating their entire jobs? My experience so far with it, like, AI is evolving, it's getting better every day, but I don't see the educator or the designers or the people who are involved in authoring and what have you being out of a job or anything like that. I don't think that's the risk. I think it's a little bit more subtle than that, but we'll have to see exactly how that unfolds.
I'm excited to maybe in the future see in our repository when we can have some AI generated lesson plans or activities, to be able to classify those who have been just AI generated with no human input, and then to put them in a different pile when they've been like modified, tested, classroom tested. I've used this, it worked great, and this will cut there will definitely be two types of resources. The ones that are dubious, we need to check them. We need to modify them. They're great. They're making us, giving us new ideas, but they haven't been tested yet, versus they get this label of tested and approved by teachers. And that will be the golden standard, I think.
Okay, so we'll put in our calendars a year from now to come back where we are.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Again, I really appreciate you so much, and thank you folks in the audience for tuning into this live. It was exceptional, And we just appreciate you taking the time to talk and do some demos and show us things you're working on and thinking about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
Alan.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.